It's not an exaggeration to say that the internet is one of the most important pieces of technology of our lifetime. You can connect with people from across the world, take a college level course without leaving your bedroom, or you can watch 12 hours straight of Subway Surfers while you aimlessly let Abbott Elementary run in the background. And look, we've all been there. We've all enjoyed our fair share of brain rot, robotic voices over a B-roll of Minecraft, or the most mind-numbing conversation from the worst podcast in one half with a different mobile game on the bottom half. These are the videos that are designed to keep you scrolling without breaking your attention for even a microsecond. But are they all bad? What if we could harness the attention-keeping power of brain rot while helping people learn really complex concepts? What's up, nerds? If you're new here, welcome. I'm Matty C, and for years I've been trying to teach my non-sciencey friends and family about the really cool research that I was doing. I know I'm biased, but I feel like I did so many cool things during my PhD, but I haven't always been able to communicate why these things were so interesting. At least not before I could see their eyes glaze over in boredom. That is until recently when one of my oldest and closest friends sent me a link to this website that could change all of that. PDF-to-brainrot.com. That's right, a site where you can upload PDFs, lecture notes, videos, practically anything, and it'll take that information and recreate it into content that is much more absorbable. It's supposed to be accurate, entertaining, and attention grabbing. And at first glance, I could totally see this working really well for more general concepts. But my question is, can brain rot explain my PhD research? So like any good scientist, I want to do a little experiment here. But first I need to set some very specific conditions and ground rules for what this experiment is going to look like. So here's the plan. I'm going to start by explaining one of my own papers. I'll go section by section, trying to explain the science, but then simplify it in a way that most people can understand. Now don't worry, it won't be every single section and every single piece of data, just the ones that I think are most important and most interesting for you, my beautiful, beautiful audience. And this is mostly so that there's video evidence that you know, that I know what I'm talking about, and to see if I can bring even a little bit of the entertainment value that brain rot can give. After we've gone through the whole paper, I'll upload it to the site and see what it can do. We'll watch together and see how good of a job this actually does at explaining the research. Bonus points if they could make it engaging in a way that my niece and nephew can understand. There are a couple main goals that we want to achieve from this little experiment. One is to make sure that these types of AI are able to accurately present these complex scientific data, and also to present it in an engaging way to maybe encourage people to learn these concepts a little more easily. It's so easy for big technical jargon to scare people, and that's fair. Nobody wants to spend hours just trying to comb through two sentences where every other word is this massive mega word that needs an entire wiki in order to explain it. And to be fair, this happens all the time in academic papers. We do not make it easy for the general audience to understand what's going on. And sure, academic research papers are designed for a technical audience, but it doesn't mean they should be only for a technical audience. But before we see what brain rot can do, let's see what I can do. You can't jump straight into the brain rot. We've got to start with the actual science, because baby, I like a little bit of foreplay. Today we're going to break down my first author paper ever, disulfide cross-linked nanogel-based nanoassemblies for chemotherapeutic drug delivery. I know the title is very technical, a lot of big words in there, but for the rest of this explanation, I'm going to try and stay far away from a lot of the technical jargon and just focus on the general stuff. And where it needs to get technical, I'll simplify it as best as I can. We'll try and make this as painless as possible for everyone. If we take it way back, this paper is in the field of anti-cancer drug delivery. It's the field where you make little materials that allow anti-cancer drugs to work better. Whether that's getting into the surrounding cancer tissue or actually killing cancer cells better or making the side effects associated with traditional chemotherapies better, all of these are concepts that the field of drug delivery tries to tackle. But there are a lot of sub-problems that arise when trying to make this drug better. For example, let's imagine the journey that an anti-cancer drug has to go through. Most anti-cancer drugs are delivered intravenously, meaning that they get injected directly into your bloodstream, but they don't magically get into cancer right away. They have to go through a whole lot of bullshit. First, they have to circulate in your blood without being removed by the immune system and any other nasty things that are preventing them from doing their job. Then, the drug has to leave the blood and get into the tissue that surrounds the cancer. But it can't just be one or two drug molecules, no. There needs to be thousands and thousands of drug molecules that have to accumulate at the site of the cancer so that it's actually potent enough or actually strong enough to kill the cancer tissue. But no, it's not done there, because just being around the tissue isn't enough to kill it. These anti-cancer drugs also need to get into the deadly cancer cells, be released in the necessary cellular compartments, and ultimately kill the cancer cells. And on top of all of this, ideally, these anti-cancer drugs need to kill cancer cells that are all the way in the middle of the cancer, which are incredibly hard to get to. So anti-cancer drugs need to do all of that without trying to get into and accidentally kill your healthy cells. I'm sure we're all very familiar with the fact that cancer treatments have a whole array of side effects. They're very likely caused by these anti-cancer drugs accidentally getting into healthy cells and killing too many of them. But what if we could put this anti-cancer drug into a little vehicle that can drive it directly to the cancer instead of the healthy cells? Introducing nanoassemblies, our proposed solution to the anti-cancer drug delivery problem. In short, we took these tiny little nanoparticles, shown in red, used very specific chemistry to bind an anti-cancer drug to them, then wrapped them in a bigger nanoparticle, shown in gold. This entire assembly of nanoparticles is called, well, a nanoassembly. In summary, anti-cancer drug goes into small nanoparticle, a bunch of small nanoparticles go into big nanoparticle. Nanoassemblies. The smaller nanoparticles were less than 40 nanometers big, while the entire nanoassembly was around 150 nanometers. Keep a quick tab on these sizes because they'll be really important later. But why is all of this necessary? Why design such a complex nanoparticle? Surely there's an easier solution than all of this. The problem is that previous editions of anti-cancer nanoparticles were barely effective. This paper found that only 0.7% of nanoparticles that are given to people actually get to cancer. And previous research suggests that this number is so low because of the entire pathway that goes from injection to getting to cancer. Every step of the drug delivery pathway needs a slightly different size. Here's what I mean. Right after the nanoparticle is injected into the blood, it needs to be around 100 to 200 nanometers. Depends on who you talk to. Too small, and many of them can get into healthy cells or are peed out before it gets to the cancer. Too big, and the nanoparticle gets removed from various sources before it gets to the cancer. This 100 to 200 nanometer size is also important for the accumulation step, as it's reported that being around 100 nanometers is the perfect balance between leaving the bloodstream and accumulating around cancer tissues. After this, the nanoparticle doesn't want to be this big anymore. In fact, it only wants to get smaller. Previous research shows that nanoparticles below 100 nanometers have a much easier time getting into cancer cells compared to these larger nanoparticles. Nanoparticles below 50 nanometers can travel through the really dense, complicated cancer tissues and enter the really hard to reach cancer cells that we mentioned before. At its core, this concept is really simple. Change sizes along the way in order to get into more cancer cells. If you get into more cancer cells, you can kill more cancer cells. Now that was a lot of numbers and a lot of nano, but in theory, these nanoassemblies work very similarly to a rocket ship. As the rocket moves quickly through our sky, it starts off big, but as it gets further from the surface of the planet and goes through the different layers of the atmosphere, it breaks off and becomes smaller and smaller to get to space more efficiently. And that's exactly what our nanoassemblies are designed to do. Get smaller as they go through the different steps of this drug delivery pathway until they can finally get to their destination, which is the cancer. Now you're all smart little goobers, so I'm sure you already know what comes next. Unless you're not subscribed to the channel, then you should definitely go do that and come back before you will fully understand. But you probably noticed a thing or two about the specific sizes that these nanoassemblies are made of. 150 nanometers for the outside, less than 50 nanometers for the inside. 150 nanometers for the earlier steps in the pathway, less than 50 nanometers for the later steps. That's right, everyone. We spent years perfecting our nanoassembly protocol to make sure that the nanoassembly was between 100 and 200 nanometers. Years. Now you're probably thinking, that's great that you can make the nanoassembly a certain size, but how could you possibly control how it gets smaller or when it gets smaller? And if it is getting smaller, how can you be sure that it's releasing the anti-cancer drug into those cancer cells? Those are all fantastic questions, my brilliant little bookie boo. The short answer to both, chemistry. I love chemistry. Nanoassemblies are held together by something called disulfide bonds, indicated by this S attached to another S in this reaction scheme. You don't have to worry too much about the technical aspects, just know that disulfide bonds are there. In a lot of different types of cancers, there is an upregulated amount of this little peptide called glutathione, or GSH, which is known to break apart disulfide bonds. The idea being that if the nanoassemblies can get into cancer, those disulfide bonds can be broken by the GSH and therefore releasing the smaller nanoparticles that contain the anti-cancer drug. There's even extra chemistry that we use to break the anti-cancer drug from the smaller nanoparticle only once we got into the cancer cells. But I'll spare on the details of that because I think you've nerded enough. There are two main things we wanted to show with these nanoassemblies. One, that we could switch the nanoassembly size from big to small in order to accommodate each step of that drug delivery pathway. And two, the chemistry of the nanoassembly was specifically chosen so that the nanoassembly would become those different sizes only when they needed to be that size. In this case, the size would switch only once the nanoassembly was in the cancer, and not while it was just floating around in your blood. But some of you beautifully minded, absolutely chiseled, definitely subscribed to the channel folks are probably thinking, how do you know you actually overcame these challenges when all you've shown us are blobs that you made in Microsoft Paint? I wasn't gonna bore anybody with graphs and data because realistically, they don't stand a chance against brain rot. But for you nerds, we'll go through some of the most important data in a classic Matty C PhD lightning round. This figure shows that the small particles were in fact small, but after doing some weird salad dressing ass method with some very specific chemistries, we could make nanoassemblies that were big. This figure shows that we can release way more anti-cancer drug when the nanoassemblies are in an environment with a lot of beta GSH, just like in cancer, compared to when in a little bit of GSH, normal healthy cells. This figure just shows that we can kill cancer cells with our anti-cancer nanoassemblies. This one's really cool. This figure shows that the nanoassemblies can get to those really hard to reach cancer cells that are located in the middle of a single tumor, but the anti-cancer drug by itself can't. And these figures show that the nanoassemblies could reduce the size of tumors and reduce the side effects that we see in mice that had cancer. If you're interested in learning more, I definitely recommend reading the whole paper. Help me get my H-index up for the hose. So now that you've suffered through all of that, let's finally get to the good stuff. Just as a heads up, I've never actually used this site before, so I have no idea how this is going to turn out. We are genuinely looking at this together for the first time. And I'm not going to lie, I do not have high hopes. PDF to brain rot. Turn boring PDFs into brain rot. Tired of dull textbooks. Transform any PDF into entertaining, TikTok-inspired brain rot content. Learn faster, remember longer, and have fun doing it. Okay, start converting. Now, Jack versus Rose. It's going to be Jack. I feel like Jack's the one that I hear the most. What do we want? You can do between Minecraft, you can do Subway Surfers. We're gonna do the car spinning down the thing. These are my favorite. Background audio, get different sounds you can choose. Wii music, it's the actual Wii music too. This isn't like knockoff Wii music. Let's go for no background music for now. But it's good to know they have options. Okay, let's see. Here we go.
Nanogel-based drug delivery innovations. Ski-bit-I-bop. We got some dank science here. Think of these disulfide cross-linked nanogels as the ultimate Sigma goon squad for delivering chemotherapeutic S. They trap tiny starch particles.
Okay.
Low-key vibing in the tumor microenvironment. When things get reductive, these nanogels break down, releasing the doxorubicin and loaded starch goons right into the cancer. Party. Result. A major glow-up in tumor penetration and alleged reduction in sizes. CT26 spheroid SR-like. Who invited these nanoassemblies? They outshine free docs by a mile. This is the edge we need to tackle the cancer ship.
That's it? What the f was that? Well, watch one more time.
Gel-based drug delivery innovations. Ski-bit-I-bop.
They nailed some of the technical stuff, but they can't even get skibbity-bop, right? Like it's brain rot. How do you not get skibbity-bop?
Science here. Think of these disulfide cross-linked nanogels as the
Disulfide,
ultimate Sigma goon squad for delivering.
Disulfide cross-linked nanogels as the ultimate Sigma goon squad for delivery. Can we add that to the abstract? Can we write back to the journal? Or maybe in the conclusion, just like, so in conclusion, we found that our disulfide cross-linked nanogels were the ultimate Sigma goon squad for delivery.
They trap tiny starch particles. Low-key vibing in the tumor microenvironment.
Yep. Okay, that's actually quite good. I didn't even mention starch nano, so the smaller nanoparticle, the one that actually holds on to the anti-cancer drug, I just called them small nanoparticle, but they were starch-based nanoparticles. It's good they picked up on that.
Things get reductive. These nanogels break down.
Yeah. The process of breaking apart the nanoassembly to release the drug is disulfide reduction. They couldn't say the word reductive, but they got the concept.
Releasing the doxorubicin and loaded starch goons right into the cancer.
I'm not even mad they couldn't say the word doxorubicin. That's a hard one. It's the starch goons part. Doxorubicin loaded starch goons is perfect and releases it right into the cancer. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what we showed in this figure.
In tumor penetration and alleged reduction in sizes.
Yep. This is that figure where we showed that the spheroids spheroids are the fake cancers that we made. It's just like you take cancer cells and instead of just growing them flat in a dish, you grow them in 3 dimensions so they simulate a tumor. CT26 were the cells that we used, and we showed that it penetrated further. Like they went the spheroid better than just the anti-cancer drug doxorubicin by itself.
CT26 spheroid SR-like. Who invited these nanoassemblies? They outshine free docs by a mile.
They do outshine
by, the edge we need to tackle the cancer ship.
Poor brain rot, I think, at the end there. But honestly, like it got the main points. Was that better than me? Do we dare try another one just for fun? Oh, there's like extra stuff too. Oh, dude, this is the script, but just way better. This reads way less broken. Let's break this down. So skibbity bob, we got some dank science here. Think of these disulfide cross-linked nanogels as the ultimate Sigma goon squad for delivering chemotherapeutics. They trap tiny starch particles, low-key vibing in the tumor microenvironment. Things get reductive, these nanogels break down, releasing the doxorubicin-loaded starch goons right into the cancer party. Result? A major glow up in the tumor penetration and a legit reduction in sizes. CT26 spheroids are like, who invited these nanoassemblies? They outshine free docs by a mile. This is the edge we need to tackle the cancer ship. Okay, see, that's actually not bad. That's actually a really good summary of what happened. It just feels really chunky. Like the narrator really did not help this at all. You know what? Not bad. Okay, let me try one more. Just for funsies, a different way of doing it. Let's try Rose. Maybe she's a little more natural with it. We're gonna do Minecraft, and then we're gonna generate now. The different titles: nano-based drug delivery innovations, nanogel innovations in chemotherapy delivery. Already, I like this better. I like this title better. It's ready. We're gonna make it big for the boys. Okay.
Nanogel innovations in chemotherapy delivery. Ski-bid-I boom.
Skibbity
We
boom.
got nanogels in the house. These dank disulfide cross-linked wonders are trapping starch nanoparticles. Size 10 to 40 nm.
Yeah.
Inside Chandro, itin sulfate nanogels.
They got
150 to 250 nm. Low-key. When they hit the reductive tumor microenvironment, they break down and unleash docs or OBCI and loaded starch goons right where it hurts.
the starch goons are
Imagine a
back.
Sigma move. Penetrating
Sigma
CT26 carcinoma spheroid edge
Yeah.
like they are nothing. Boosting docs fluorescence by an order of magnitude. In vivo. These nanoassemblies are cutting tumor sizes by 6x compared to saline and 2x against free.
No
docs.
way, they got data.
This is the edge of cancer treatment. My friends.
Yeah, you know. Wow, that was so much better. That was so much better than the first one. Let's go one more time again.
Nanogel innovations in chemotherapy delivery. Ski-bid-I boom.
Skibbity
We
boom.
got nanogels in the house.
Nanogels in the house.
These dank disulfide cross-linked wonders are trapping starch nanoparticles. Size 10 to 40
Beautiful.
nm.
Beautiful.
Inside Chandro, itin sulfate
This is
nanogels.
amazing.
150
50 to
to
250
250 nm.
Okay, that is beautiful. They have, oh, it's nanogel. The nanogel is made of chondroitin sulfate. That was like that was the big material on the outside of the nanoassembly that was cross-linked together around very small starch nanoparticles, which were 10 to 40 nanometers. And then they say that the overall nanoassembly size is 150 to 250 nanometers.
Low-key, when they hit the reductive tumor microenvironment, they break down and unleash docs or OBCI and loaded starch goons right where it hurts.
That is actually perfect. That is perfect. The reductive tumor microenvironment releases the goons and hits them where it hurts.
Imagine a Sigma move. Penetrating
Such a Sigma
CT26 carcinoma spheroid
And they went
edge
even-
like they are nothing. Boosting docs fluorescence by an order of magnitude. In vivo. These
Boosting-
nano
Doxorubicin is like the cancer drug, and it has a fluorescence, so it's a red color, and you can measure how much of that color using science.
assemblies are cutting tumor sizes by 6x compared to saline.
In the first video, I swear they were going for as simple as possible, but now that they've had an extra chance, they're getting some data in there. That's good. 6 times more. It really emphasizes the point.
X against free docs.
Nanoassemblies reduced tumor sizes by 2 times more than doxorubicin by itself did.
Cancer treatment. My friends.
My friends. Amazing. I might be out of a job soon. All right, so overall, I think that first video was rough. That was a really tough video to get through. It did not sink in. The script was a little bit better. Like the actual words they pulled out were pretty good, but I don't think it was delivered in a way that was good. Like I think if I saw that on TikTok, I wouldn't enjoy that. I wouldn't have gotten anything from it. I would have swiped away for sure, like halfway through. It would have been really bad. But that second one was actually pretty good. I really liked how they had nanoassembly structure and sizes, what some of the in vivo results look like, which are, I think most people would say that's the most important part. Like, does it actually work in a living thing? In that second video, like Rose really killed it. I think one thing that's interesting is there was no figures that they used. And maybe that's the point. Maybe they don't want to show any of the actual data, but I think that would be pretty interesting if they could show just like, you know, just proof that it actually worked rather than, hey, trust me, bro, this is what happened. But if you were trying to study and you were trying to read this paper for the first time, was the brain rot helpful at all? Did it keep you engaged? Did it make you want to learn more? Do you feel like you actually learned anything at all? Or was it just a silly way to take science words and then add ultimate Sigma Goon Squad at the end of it? Another thing about the brain rots, they only had 60 seconds or less to make this video. I explained it in well over that. So how would I do if I had to explain it in 1 minute? Maybe we'll try that for a different paper in a different video. Whether you like me or the brain rot better, that's okay. Thank you for stopping by regardless. If you learned something today, make sure you give this video a like, consider subscribing, and let me know down below on what you'd like to see next. Come on over to Instagram. We have a great community over there and you can get all of this information in bite-sized form. But with that, see you later, nerds.